Oh, it's we're back after a week off. It was nice. It was nice not to. It was nice to have a Saturday. I didn't. You know what? I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch as much football as I normally did Saturday. I had a Halloween party to go to, and I had a lot of fun. So no regrets there. As people, I think a couple people are gonna pile in here, but you are watching Missouri Tigers live. I'm Zach Remelius here, like I am every week here at the Voice of College Football. This is episode 47 of Missouri Tigers Live. Crazy number to me. We are going to talk about the Texas A&M game coming up. We're, of course, going to go into SEC notes, national notes, and don't mind me, folks, but I will be sort of reacting to the Mizzou basketball game. It's our first look at the team this year. If you follow me on Twitter over at PsychoZ50, my predictions 22-9, 10-8 in the SEC. So MIZ. ZOU. So if you're here, go ahead. If you're here, like and subscribe. We're here every Monday at this time, 7:00, to do this, to talk Missouri Tigers football. We only got 4 games left plus a bowl game. Obviously not very hopeful, but like playoff hopes are still alive. Still have the opportunity to go out and win 10 games this year. And we'll see what happens with that moving forward. And then we'll have a whole offseason to talk about stuff. As far as a bowl game, it kind of depends on the time. Like last year, they played at like 2:00 on a day I had to work. Like I couldn't watch the bowl game, and I couldn't watch the bowl game, and it was just kind of a tough situation. But I have gone back and watched it. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't. Like Luther Burden wasn't playing. Like a bunch of Iowa guys weren't playing. It didn't matter. So, but like and subscribe. We will be here. And especially as we hit the crazy coaching season we're about to have, I think you're going to see staff shakeups at Mizzou. I don't know if Eli's going to be here. I don't know if Curtis Looper's going to be here. I don't know if Kirby Moore's going to be here. We'll rally around Matt Zollers and we'll play good football. I don't know who on the staff is going to be gone, who's going to be here. It's going to be an interesting offseason. Recruiting's picked up a little bit. During the season, I don't love talking recruiting just because we have 9 months guys to talk about recruiting. But I knew you meant Doug. That's funny. I didn't even catch that. But like and subscribe. We'll be here. We'll talk Missouri Tigers football. Don't mind me if I seem a bit distracted because I am watching the basketball game. So as far as first half thoughts on that game, inability to get to the rim was a little concerning. Rebounding, not great. And I've seen a little bit too much Luke North weather for my liking. But let's go ahead and get into it. This weekend, the Missouri Tigers take on the Texas A&M Fighting Aggies from College Station. Texas A&M ranked 3rd in the country, and deservedly so. This season, they have been a freaking wagon. They lost a lot coming into the season. They lost a lot on defense. They lost their DNs. They lost some key pieces. They brought in good receivers. I wasn't very high on Marcel Reed, but he's proven me very wrong. He's been excellent this year. In week 3, they went to Notre Dame and did something that Texas A&M doesn't do, and that's win big road games. They went in there and didn't stomp them. That's not a fair criticism. But they went in there, put up 41 points on Notre Dame, and won a football game. They returned with a struggle win over Auburn, Mississippi State. They beat Florida at home. They escaped Arkansas, and they went to LSU and made a statement. They crushed LSU and got Brian Kelly fired at night in Tiger Stadium. An increasingly thing. Mike Elko probably should be coach of the year. I'm trying to think of like other options. Let's see what BYU does. Like Sataki definitely deserves a lot of credit. And we still have a month, and I'm going to get into that in here in just a minute with A&M. But they've been really good all year. In the offseason, they brought in Concepcion and Mario and excuse me. They brought in a couple receivers. Goodness gracious, who have been really, really good. And Marcel Reed has been excellent this year. It's hard to disagree with how good he's been. He's certainly And what's been a really weak Heisman field has put himself into that conversation. Mario Craver, 40 catches, 716 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kevin, 36, 545, and 7 touchdowns. When he hit the portal, he was a guy I really wanted Mizzou to get. Eric Singleton was probably not an option for Mizzou. He was pretty much a strong Auburn lean as soon as he went into the portal, but is what it is. Marcel Reed, 137 for 223 for 61%, 17 touchdowns, 6 picks. And has provided a little bit in the run game, 349 yards and 6 touchdowns. So Marcel Reed, good player. I just thought he was a quarterback that didn't quite see it in the way I think college quarterbacks need to see it. And to be fair, I don't think Bo Pribula sees it either, but he's not playing this weekend. I think this Texas A&M offense is really, really good. Defensively, they have an ability to get pressure. Their defense hasn't been as good as you would expect a Mike Elko defense to be. I like Sean Phillips' activity. I don't think he's that good, but I like his activity. But Mike Elko's defense, like they're giving up 23 points per game. They really have struggled in some of these games against offenses with pulses. They gave up 40 to Notre Dame. They gave up 42 to Arkansas. And those are the two best offenses they've played. UTSA put up 24. Jeff Traylor might be getting a job this offseason. He normally has decent offenses, but like Utah State, not a strong offense. Auburn, obviously not a strong offense. Mississippi State, actually, I take that back. Mississippi State has a pretty good offense, and they did a really good job in that game. Florida, they only gave up 17. Arkansas, Bobby P can still draw it up, and they gave up 42. LSU, they gave up 25. I think that was a bit misleading. I do believe, LSU scored with like 12 seconds or a minute left to make it into that margin. So I think this A&M defense can be had if your offense has a pulse. Unfortunately, I don't think this Missouri offense has a pulse. They're just not good. Like, it's just not a good offense right now. We'll see what it looks like. Now, here's the thing, Matt. I thought Matt Zollers played really – we're grading it on a curve, obviously. I thought Matt Zollers, when he came in against Vanderbilt, played really well. True freshman on the road in a, not like, I'm not going to go out and pretend Vanderbilt's the toughest environment ever. But he went out there against a good defense on the road and slung it around a little bit. I thought he played pretty well. Now he's had 2 weeks where he's the starting quarterback. He's the guy. He's getting all the 1 reps. He's working with Coleman. He's working with Marquise. He's working with whoever. So we'll see. This is a chance. This is going to be a hard game to grade Kirby Moore because I'm not going to know what's on him. And like if Mizzou doesn't score, that might not necessarily be because Kirby Moore is just having a dreadful game. It's just A&M has a good. It was a good shot. A&M has A&M's defense does a really good job against teams that don't really have a pulse, and Mizzou's offense doesn't have a pulse, and now you have a true freshman quarterback. Mizzou's really limited at receiver. I think they have some decent receivers, but I don't think they have any like NFL players at receiver, and it could get ugly offensively. I don't know if they'll score. You probably need to score 24 points to win this game at like minimum. I don't know if Mizzou can get there with the current setup. Offensively, I think there's a chance for Mizzou to put some pressure on. I mean, if you look at this, what they've played, Auburn's got a good defensive line. They held them to 16. Other than that, LSU to me has a good defense, but I think LSU, and I've gone back and I watched a bit of that game, and I watched some of that game during the World Series on Saturday and at the party. No, that was 2 weeks ago. Excuse me. I watched a lot of that game. LSU to me in that game let go of the rope. Like, I think Blake Baker's a really good defensive coordinator. I just think they were like, this offense isn't helping us out. We're screwed. Like, our season's over. Like, our coach is going to get fired. I just think they kind of let go of the rope. But I think the Mizzou defense is maybe the second best defense they played so far, and Auburn held them to 16. For Mizzou to win this game, they're going to need to hold them to like 20 to 23 points. I've given Corey Batoon a lot of crap. The last time we saw Mizzou, he maybe had his best game. Only giving up 17 points to that Vanderbilt offense that, really rallied against Texas and put up 31. Too much North weather. What? Whatever. Just play Javon. He looked okay. But Texas A&M is a really good football team. It's going to be if you can win this game, that might be Eli's best coaching job since he's come to Mizzou. Actually, no, I definitely, because it'll be his first top 10 win, and you're playing a true freshman quarterback who also missed a ton of his senior year of high school in Zollers. So I don't really have a lot of high hopes for this one. I'm intrigued to watch. I've got some family stuff we're kind of keeping an eye on. So I don't know what my plans are for Saturday at this point. It's kind of a day-by-day thing, but I am excited to watch, keep an eye on things, and see what happens. Like, the thing is with this game, you are truly going in with no pressure. And here's the thing with Texas A&M. This is what I was going to get into. Last year, Texas A&M was in a similar spot. They weren't undefeated, but they came into November with a lot of expectations. North weather hits this 3. All right, good job, kid. They were up to 10th in the country. They beat LSU at home. They had SEC titles in sight, and then they went to South Carolina and got boat raced by the Gamecocks. And then they played Auburn, and they lost it, or they played New Mexico State, whatever. They lost at Auburn. They lost at Texas. They went into November with a lot of expectations and then fell extremely short of those expectations. They lost 3 of their last 4. Mike Elko's a good coach. We will find out this year if he can escape Aggiedom. Like, it feels like Texas A&M has had opportunities in the past to going into November to make some noise on the national scale. And they have made noise this year. Like, you beat Notre Dame on the road. I think Notre Dame's going to make the playoff. You got Brian Kelly. You got an LSU coach fired because of how badly you beat them. That doesn't happen all the time. But now A&M has expectations. If A&M were to win this game, you can lock them into a playoff spot. They have South Carolina. They're not going to lose to South Carolina at home. In Columbia, South Carolina, maybe. They're not going to lose to, let me look. I think it's like the Citadel or whatever, that team. It's Samford, who gave Florida a scare a few years ago. And then they got Texas at Texas. Like that, they could lose that game, and they'll be 11-1. I still think they'll make it if they lose this game. But if you lose this game, then you get to 10-2. You do lose the Texas game or whatever. Like, that win over Notre Dame is going to look pretty good. Other than that, like, who are you really beating? Especially if you lose to this Missouri team. So, Texas A&M, like, this is a huge game for them. The unfortunate thing for Mizzou is not unfortunate. I think you're gonna get a game effort from the Missouri Tigers. This is a big game to those guys. Last year, you went to College Station and got humiliated. You got humiliated. You came into the season with expectations to make the playoff. This year was kind of like, hey, you're off to a nice start. Oh, you might be really good. Oh, you played Bama really tough. And then the wheels have fallen off, obviously, with injuries, and your offense is just dreadful and predictable. Wonderful. But last year at this point, you struggled. You had struggle wins over Boston College. Boston College is ranked at the time. Guys, Boston College finished 6-6. You were not explosive against Buffalo. You didn't look good against Vanderbilt. Again, a Vanderbilt team that probably should have beaten you last year, but you got to win. That counts for something. Good block by Lee from Arizona. And that counts for something. And then that's different because that team was demoralized because of the era. I disagree. Because of the era we were in where it was the BCS, which we should kind of probably go back to, in my opinion, when they lost to Oklahoma State at home, like your season was over. Like you could still potentially win the Big 12, and you still did play for the Big 12 title, but like your season was over. Your hopes of playing for a national title were done. Like BCS didn't really matter to you at that point. Also, that Texas team was arguably the best team in the country. I don't know how they would have played against Florida. That's all hypothetical and conjecture, but like Texas did beat OU that year, who lost to Florida, of course, in the Natty. Like Texas at least was the second best team in the country. Last year's A&M team finished 8-4. Like there was not an awesome football team, and they were playing the quarterback they did not play for most of the year. I disagree with that. It was ugly, but there were games certainly where because I'm trying to think of like Mizzou going on the road against like a good Mizzou team with hopes. That was a weird siren. Like a Mizzou team with hopes that went on the road and just got crushed. Not like the Vanderbilt game, but I'm thinking like 2010, like the Nebraska game in 2010, because I wasn't a great Nebraska team, and you just went in there and got killed. You couldn't stop Roy Halou Jr. That's kind of what that game was. Like it was awful. But the thing is, you went into the game and like I saw the tweets. I saw like Eli was talking trash. The players were talking trash. Brady Cook had said something. There's something going on. I've never seen cops and ambulances drive that fast by me. Something was going on. They thought because Brady Cook said something about like we got something for him, and then you got punched in the mouth. And you were never in the game. Like you were down 34-0 in the third quarter. Like you were never in that game. Brady Cook, 13 of 31, a touchdown, 186 yards. Great. No running game. Luther Burden, 7 catches for 82 yards. Great. But like you just were never in that football game. And you got punked. And so I think you're going to get a game effort because I think this defense realizes how badly you got punked. And it can't happen again. Now, the issue is I do think this is also the best offensive line Mizzou will have faced all year. I think the Texas A&M offensive line is legitimately good. Dennis, call timeout for the love of God. I think the Texas A&M offensive line is legitimately like one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. It's talented, it's big, it's mean, it's nasty. All the things you want to talk about with a good offensive line. We'll see. Like this, like at the bare minimum, this is going to be a good put it on tape game for Damon and Zion and all these guys. It's going to be at least a good barometer for them. But I just don't know if Mizzou's going to be able to score enough points for it to matter. I think you'll get a game effort. I wouldn't be shocked if Mizzou's leading like 10-7 at half or something. Like I wouldn't be or it's like a 10-7 game at half. I wouldn't be totally surprised. But ultimately, I do think Texas A&M wins this game. I'm going to say 24-13. I just don't see this Mizzou offense. I take it back, 24-10. I don't see this Mizzou offense being able to really get any momentum going offensively. Like Hardy's such a good running back. This is such a good defense. You're going to have to be able to take the top off the defense, and I don't know if you have the receivers with the ability to do that against good corners. I don't think this is a good matchup for the Missouri Tigers, and I'm a touch worried that you could get run out of your football stadium. I don't think it'll happen. I think you'll have a game effort from Mizzou, but I don't know. Like, I don't mean to be such a downer, but like, it's so like if you had Bo and you had something like Zoller's down the line, I think will be a better quarterback than Bo, but because Bo's just has experience, and Eli mentioned like we're going to run the quarterback. I don't like if it's there. Like, I don't disagree with you saying like injuries do happen, but like you have like Tommy Locke and Brett Brown now as your backups. Like, maybe don't run read option. Maybe just straight handoffs. If Mizzou's going to win this game, it needs to shorten the game. It needs to hit a couple explosives, which they haven't done like all year since like the Kansas game. So we'll see. I predict Texas A&M 24-10, and kind of a grind it out like they're up 21-10 or 21-7. We'll see what happens, but I'm just not gonna lie and say I think Mizzou is gonna win this football game. Let's see. You can connect with the Voice of College Football on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us at, of course, the Voice of College Football. You can find me at Twitter at PsychoZ50. Let's go ahead and then we'll start talking about some SEC notes as the season, as we get to this part of the season. Let's see here. Let me pull up. I want to get exact scores just because I also have the basketball game on, and oh my God, is Mizzou's defense pissing me off. Ant Robinson's really pissing me off. And so is Mark Mitchell, but good done, Mark. Okay, so last weekend in the SEC, Georgia escapes Florida. I think if you're like a Notre Dame, like, look, you never want to go into Sanford Stadium, but if you're like a Notre Dame or an Oregon or a team that's going to be rated like 11th, maybe not Oregon, but like if you're a team that's going to be in that, like a Louisville, this might not be a bad year to catch Georgia. Like, their defense they don't get any pressure. I don't think those guys are dumb. I just think they made bad choices on who to keep defensively and what schemes and just a bunch of different things this year. I just don't think this is a prime Georgia year. And now they're still really good. Gunnar Stockton's been better than I thought. Offensively, they're really good, but I'm not sure this is a Georgia team that can win a natty. I think they're the third or fourth best team in the SEC. I know they got Ole Miss. I know they beat them. I just don't know if they are better than Ole Miss, like on a neutral. So if you're a team like a Louisville or whoever is going to get that 11 spot, it's not a bad year. Maybe have to go to Sanford Stadium. Ole Miss takes care of business against South Carolina. Not shocked. Texas, welcome back to the playoff hunt. Like, they control their own destiny, and I'm going to touch on this. Like, they beat up on Vanderbilt. Arch, that was kind of the Arch we've been waiting for. He looked pretty good. A lot of yak, I understand that, but that's just naturally going to come in a Sark offense. But Texas, like, they have Georgia. They play Arkansas, and they play Texas A&M. If they win out, they're in. I don't think they'll win out. I think they would have a compelling interest at 9-3. One of their losses would be to Ohio State, who best team in the country. One of their other losses would be at Georgia or to Texas A&M. You would have a win over Vanderbilt. You would have a win over Georgia or Texas A&M in this scenario. You would have the win over Oklahoma. I don't think they'd get in just because of how it looks like it's breaking down. But I think Texas would have a really legitimate argument at 9-3. A really interesting argument. Yeah, it took a minute. Like, I think he's still good, and if you look like his numbers, they line up pretty well with a lot of quarterbacks that are like we consider elite. It's just taken time, so we'll see. And another ranked unranked, Oklahoma keeps their season alive. That was a really impressive win. I know Tennessee fans are starting to have conversations about Josh Heupel. I don't quite agree with them. I think Josh has done a really good job there. I think they really limited John Mateer, but the Oklahoma in the passing game, but the Oklahoma run game was amazing, which it hasn't been all year. Joey Aguilar did throw for almost 400, but he threw 2 ugly picks. And look, Oklahoma's a good football team. I don't think they're going to make the playoff. They also will have a compelling argument at 9-3. If they're good, because I don't know if they're going to beat Bama. They'll beat Mizzou and they'll beat LSU at home, but they'd be 9-3. They'd have a win over Tennessee. They'd have a win over Michigan, who's kind of lingering on the periphery of the playoff chase. Yeah, I mean, that was the thing with Tennessee is everyone kind of agreed that like this was supposed to be kind of a down year, like that this was supposed to be a year where they take a step back, and they're still probably going to finish like 9-3. You know, they might go 8-4. They might lose to Vanderbilt that last week of the year. They might lose to Florida, but 8-4, like, and that's kind of you're going to be your floor. Like, that's pretty good. Like the floor, a floor of 8-4 at a lot of schools is like a floor a lot of schools would beg for, especially because. Like at Mizzou, I would love a floor of 5-4, or 8-4, excuse me. And then obviously you had Kentucky. Mississippi State gets their first SEC win in a couple years. Good on them, beating Arkansas. They kind of shut the door on Petrino getting the job there. I'd like to think Bobby P can still draw it up. They should probably do everything they can to keep him as OC. I just don't think you can have him be your head coach because you've now lost to Auburn, who's not good, and fired Hugh Freeze. You've lost to Mississippi State at home. Like, you just can't keep him as head coach. And then Kentucky gets Hugh Freeze fired. Hugh, I think Hugh did an okay job in a lot of areas. I think he did I think this Auburn roster, and I talked about this after Mizzou beat him, is a really good roster. They've just whiffed on quarterback. And the issue is they spent their money in high school, and then they kept their portal NIL, loaded for this offseason for a quarterback transfer. And then teams have gotten smarter about how to use the portal, and you were stuck with Ashton Daniels and Jackson Arnold, who are just not good players. They're just not. I understand the hope with Jackson Arnold, but it's just not there. So Hugh Freeze is fired. We'll talk about coaches here in just a minute. I'm going to say this now. Eli's not leaving for Arkansas or for Auburn. I do think there's a chance Eli leaves for a handful of jobs. Auburn is not one of them. God, Mark Mitchell's had better nights. No one has. I mean, he did a good job at Liberty. But no one's really lived off wins like he has in. I think he did a good job building a roster for the most part. He's not a good in-game coach, and he never was. Like, Ole Miss fans will tell you, he's never been a good in-game coach. He's just had good rosters, and he wasn't able to get quarterback right. So once that happens, you're kind of dead in the water in this conference. I'm sure he'll coach some G6 team G6 team someday, but Hugh at Auburn, just not great. We'll get it kind of into what does that mean for the coaching carousel here in a little bit, because this coaching carousel is going to be insane as we get into national notes. Ohio State. Look, Penn State, you put up 14. She get a lot of credit for that. Indiana is just dogpiling teams. Georgia Tech. If they lose to Georgia, they should not make it, because you can't be 10-2 with the schedule they have and miss. And I think Georgia Tech still has to play Pitt, which is certainly a losable game, because Pitt is looking a lot better. Now they get Pitt at home, but look at the schedule. I mean, Colorado's not going to make a bowl. Gardner-Webb, whatever. Clemson, probably not going to make a bowl. Temple might make a bowl. Temple might make a bowl. Might. Wake Forest might make a bowl. Virginia Tech's not making a bowl. Duke will make a bowl. Syracuse is not making a bowl. NC State will probably make a bowl. But like none of these teams are competing for upper tier bowl games. Like you can't be 10-2 with this schedule with no good wins. Like I know, like it's not Georgia Tech's fault that Clemson sucks. It's not Georgia Tech's fault. Virginia Tech is terrible. It's not their fault on a lot of this stuff, but you have to have good wins. It's not their fault. Colorado was pretty good last year, and then this year is a utter disaster. But yeah, Georgia Tech at that rate should not make it. Miami, your season's over. I take it back. Miami season's probably over. The thing that'll be interesting is Miami does have that win over Notre Dame. And if Notre Dame makes it, you have to, in good faith, give Miami a chance because Miami did beat them. I know it was week 1 and at home, but Miami did beat them. And Notre Dame didn't exactly cover themselves in glory at Boston College. Who does Notre Dame have left? Do they have any losable games left? Yeah, they go to Pitt. That could be interesting. Pitt has a chance to ruin both of these team seasons, by the way. I think Pitt, like since they made the quarterback change away from Holstein, has been pretty good. And Miami also has to go to Pitt. And then, SMU, they're going to keep Brett Lashley around probably. And, if it's 10-2 Miami versus 10-2 Notre Dame doesn't have any wins that, unless USC continues to go on a tear, that looks good. And Miami will have, the head-to-head. Well, I don't think it'd be interesting. Like you have the head-to-head. I don't think head-to-head always matters, but when you have two teams like competing for the same spot, like head-to-head has to matter. Those kind of stuff will all work itself out. Texas Tech, hey, not pretty, but you got it done. Virginia still continues to have the lucky horseshoe. As I put in a group chat, who hates Virginia? Like you just kind of have to be happy. Like you got to be really like you're having a dream season, and when you have a dream season, you have to take advantage of all your breaks, and they're hitting all the breaks. The loss to NC State was a non-conference loss. They play Wake Forest at home. They go to Duke. That's going to be the tricky one. If Virginia loses another game, they're done, unless they win the ACC, of course. Now, if they win their next game, they still likely will. If they lose one, I still think they're likely to go to the ACC championship game. But man, like this is a dream season, and you just kind of have to enjoy the ride. Utah is so clearly the third best team in the Big 12. Like they just are. 10-2 Virginia should not make the playoff. Yeah, they joined the ACC and told them like, hey, don't give us any media money for a while. And they have money. They're fine. And you have an easier path. I understand why Rhett wants to stay there. I think someone said he told Arkansas like now's not the right time, and he's probably right. What else happened in the top 25? Michigan did not. Good Lord, what was that? I was really hoping Barry could have pulled that one out. West Virginia upsets Houston. My Willie Fritz agenda dies this year, and USC still keeps their playoff hopes alive. If Dylan Raiola doesn't get hurt, do they win that game? I don't know. We don't have, it's impossible to know. But I think there's a decent chance. Right, I was that game. The other interesting games to note as we get into what's going to be a crazy offseason is Duke beats Clemson. Duke beats Clemson. North Texas beats up on Navy. Eric Morris is going to get a lot of looks for a lot of jobs. And so is that quarterback. Because what you have to kind of look for, too, when you're looking for a coach is you have to get a coach that – if you can find a coach that can get you a quarterback, and he's got one. I'm happy for Jason Eck. Jason Eck seems to be the favorite for the Wisconsin job, which is really cool. And he's done a great job at New Mexico. Kansas beats Oklahoma State. If you're a Mizzou fan, like with any hope of the playoff, like you need Kansas to make a bowl. And Kansas has to play at Arizona. They got Utah and who else they got? Iowa State on the road. Winnable game, the Iowa State game. I don't think the Utah game's winnable for them, but they have to. So now we can talk about what it's gonna be the craziest offseason we've ever had, because now Auburn's open. I'm pretty sure at this point Cal's going to open. Stanford's already open. I think they're going to fire Justin Wilcox at Cal. I think Justin Wilcox is a good coach. The Auburn or the Cal AD at one point said something like, we need to find somebody that can win us 8-9 games a year. You're Cal. You've had a lot of really good football players at Cal. Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Jackson. Like you've had Jared Goff. Like you've had dudes. But I pulled this stat up. Since the AAWU became the Pac-8 in 1969, Cal has won 8 games 11 times. For reference, Mizzou, not exactly like a powerhouse program, and for a decade essentially did nothing of consequence, has won 8 games 11 times since 2006. Cal's not a good program. People there was shots of the attendance, like this is what it looks like. Now, if only, their attendance, like what's it going to look like if they keep Wilcox? Well, part of the thing now with some of these attendance things, especially for the teams out west, like why do Cal fans care about playing Virginia or Wake Forest or North Carolina? That's one of these things that was going away, is like these regional things where you might have gone to school with kids that you might have gone to high school with kids that are now in North Carolina. It's just one of those things. And now that's all going away, and it's only going to get worse. And so, why would these Cal kids care about Virginia football? Like, top 15, it's Virginia. Nebraska's an underdog at UCLA this weekend, for the record. But that's not surprising because they're not going to have their quarterback. So it's going to be a crazy carousel. And the other one I want to talk about is Dabo. Clemson can't fire Dabo. He has more power than the governor of that state. But I think there's a chance Dabo there is such a thing as resetting, where you just, and they play Florida State this week. You have to win that game. What Clemson is 3-5. They play Florida State. They go to Louisville, and they go Furman. They'll win that game, and they go to South Carolina. You have to win 3 of them, or you have to win 2 because they'll beat Furman. So you have to go 2 and 3 against your other teams. I don't know if that's possible. There is something to be said with getting a reset. He'd be an interesting option at like Arkansas. He'd be an interesting option I think he has to get out of the ACC, but I think he'd be an interesting option at a lot of schools. For a school that wants to like hire a name brand. I don't think like Auburn is like a real choice. Like I don't think a name brand school can hire him. Same thing with but he's not. He needed to do that after like 2023, and he's just not going to do it. He just is who he is. So if your expectations of Dabo at Clemson now, like we no longer live in a world where you can give Dabo, Sweeney, and Clemson benefit of the doubt. Like they're not a team anymore that you can just put into the top 25. We do that with a lot of teams still, where we're like, oh, LSU, like sure, whatever, top 25, because they're a program that's earned the benefit of the doubt. Same with like USC. We do that a lot. We're like, we don't know if USC is that good, but like we'll put them at like 21 just because it's USC. Like they'll probably be pretty okay. Oklahoma has gotten a lot of benefit of that kind of doubt. Texas, a lot of these name brand programs, Clemson has gotten that certainly recently. That can stop. I don't think I don't think it is realistic to expect the Clemson Tigers to win a national championship anymore with Dabo. Now, if Dabo leaves and there's a change, and good on Mizzou, Howard got back in the game, you take over. That's what you should do. There is something we said for a reset, where you can go to a program where winning the national title is not the expectation. Arkansas, I think Michigan State would be an interesting option if they fire Jonathan Smith, which I think they will. Michigan State would also be an interesting choice for Brian Kelly. There's going to be a lot of coaching spots open. If Clemson comes open and Michigan State comes open, Wisconsin's going to come open, Cal's going to come open. I know a lot of people are like, oh, there are not enough good coaches. Guys, there's always good coaches. Curt Cignetti was at JMU, and everyone kind of knew how good JMU is, but like he wasn't going to get a power job, and he got Indiana, and now they're a freaking powerhouse. Ryan Day was an offensive coordinator. Like he's one of the rare succession plans that worked, and it's worked really well. Like who else do you consider top 10 in the sport? Lane was kind of a mess, and then he did a really good job at Bama, got the Florida Atlantic job, kind of reset himself as a head coach, and then went to Ole Miss and has done a hell of a job. Kirby was a DC. Yes, he went to Georgia, and everyone had a really strong feeling about Kirby, but he went 8-5 that first year and didn't exactly cover himself in glory the next few years. They had some ugly losses those early years in Athens, but he's obviously put it together. But like, who else do you consider a top 10 coach? Dan Lanning. He was a DC. Like, no one knew how great he was going to be, especially going to Oregon. Kalen DeBoer was an OC at Alabama, or it was an OC at Indiana like 5 years ago. It works. Like, it definitely works. The Nick Saban rehabilitation program. There's always going to be good coaches. You're going to hire more bad coaches than good coaches. There's going to be 20 something hires, after backfills and whatever in the Power Four. Most of them aren't going to work. And that goes the same for Mizzou. Like, you can get excited about a hire. There's hires that we've gotten excited about that just, and reasonably so, that just didn't work. Scott Frost in Nebraska. At this juncture, Lincoln Riley at USC has just not worked the way I think they thought it might. And that's okay. Like, that's going to happen. But there's always good coaches. Obviously we're not making a hot board for Mizzou right now. Like, that'll come if that comes to pass. But there's going to be more bad coaches hired than good coaches, or Brad Fitz. Because these guys are good coaches. I still think Brian Kelly's a good coach. I think you can go to Michigan State and turn Michigan State into a 7-8 win program. I just think there's bad fits, and that was a bad fit. Eli's been a great fit at Mizzou. We didn't know if he was going to be a great fit at Mizzou. So we'll see. But it's going to be a really fun off season. Like, you have to be like, if you love coaching stuff, like, the portal's going to be insane. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, I'm going to tune out for the night. You guys have a wonderful night. Enjoy the rest of the game as you pulled ahead. Thank God. I think the Blues are playing the Oilers, and then you got Monday Night Football. I don't have YouTube TV right now, but it should be an interesting. Yeah, because he could get the lineman at Arkansas that he was at Wisconsin, the road graders. And Burt was never. And you know what? It didn't work. For a bit there, it did, though. Like, they were pretty good in 2015 and 2016. The wheels fell off in 2017. Even 2014, they went to a bowl game, and that was after the end of the mess of the Petrino era ending in 2012. So actually, it didn't work, obviously, but like, Burt didn't do a bad job at Arkansas. Like, we've kind of, because of where Arkansas is, like, we got to like look back and go, yeah, you know what, Burt did a pretty good job. If they don't fire Burt, they're not in the disaster they are right now. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening. I will see you all Saturday. Hopefully, we have a lot of positives to talk about after that game. We'll always have positives, unless it's like 52. Unless it's like the Purdue-Mizzou game in 2017. There were no positives of losing 35-3 to Purdue. Barry. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you on Saturday. Hope for the best, guys. MIZ.